Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back. I know it's been a minute, it's been a while, but we're back like we never left. We're gonna go with a little bit of a different format today, just kind of get back into the swing of things, get back in the groove. Um, of course, I got my main man Raven with me today. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. I'm ready. I'm ready to get back into this anime
Yeah.
philosophy. That's what we're all about.
Absolutely, man. And today, the topic of today is going to be basically something that we've talked about a little bit in the past. Like we've brushed up on it, but we wanted to dedicate a couple of podcasts just specifically to exploring that a little bit more. And it's the topic of love, right? We've kind of mentioned in the past a little bit, trying to explain in our own words kind of our perspective on what love is, what it means to us, how it manifests itself in our lives, how it affects our lives, things of that nature. So, this is going to be a two-parter. So today I'm going to be basically like a host, interviewing my man over here, kind of getting into his ideas, his concepts on love, and then we'll switch the roles on the next one, right? So first of all, man, I gotta say this. I feel like I used to believe that my understanding of love was set in stone, but I find that as I get older and I experience different tips, interact with different people, things like that, it changes a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so then my first question to you, man, is um do you see love as a do you believe that the concept of love is pretty much set in stone, or is it varied, is it nuanced depending on who you're dealing with or what part of your life you're in at the time?
I think it definitely varies. It's definitely a nuanced concept because the thing about love is it's a metaphysical concept, right? It's not something that's tangible. It's not something that you can hold in your hand. And even when it comes to the intangible sense, the concept sense of the form of love, it's not something that anybody can just like readily explain. Yeah, it's not something that you can just like anger, you can
Mhm.
pretty much easily explain that. That's when you get mad, when you get really mad about something, you know, or loneliness. That can be the feeling of not having anyone around you or anyone to support you, or sadness, that could be easily explained as like a really down and somber feeling, that can be caused by many reasons: not getting what you want, the person you love leaving you, maybe a parent saying hurtful words to you. So with other metaphysical concepts, I feel like there's a bit clearer, ready like explanations. Like, you're just, as soon as someone asks, you're ready to just fire it out. With love, it's a bit different. Whenever people ask, like, what does love mean? It's always some like very, very vague, like, oh yeah, love is cooking for each other when you've had a bad day. And it's like, I guess, yeah, that sounds very nice, but that doesn't apply to everyone, right? Not everybody has that other. And not everybody cooks. And so it's something that's very nuanced, something that's very it kind of differs a bit from person to person. But I feel like there are some kind of um core commonalities, or not commonalities, but core things that keep popping up, consistencies, some core consistencies that we see across the board with love throughout cultures and societies.
Mm. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of the time people, because I've asked that question to some folks as well, like how do you define love? And I've noticed that a lot of people fall into that pitfall of describing the things that they do because they love someone or for the sake of love, right? But they're not able to pinpoint or to describe what that feeling is on its own. And that's why I always find it's like it's like a recurring topic, right? It's a recurring thing that keeps popping up. I'm like, you know, because like you said, the examples you just gave, like, oh, you cook for somebody, or you, um, you certain acts of kindness and things like that. It's like, okay, those are all um things that you do as a result of loving someone, right? It's like when you're sick and you
Yeah.
have the symptoms of being sick. It's like there's something that's causing all of these symptoms, but those symptoms on their own aren't necessarily like what the issue is. It's like sometimes when you have a headache, right? People will say, "Oh yeah, well, they'll try to diagnose it, not knowing like what. Okay, is it fatigue? Is it hunger? Is it thirst? Like the actual origin of the symptom. It's like that's what you need to pinpoint. I feel like it's the same with love, where it's like, oh, I'm doing all these things, but what's the source of it? Why do you do those things? It's like, oh, because I love that person. It's like, okay, well, what does that mean to you though?
Yeah.
Right. And so that's my next question for you is what does love mean to you?
To me, I think that just going real quick back to the examples of like, and some of them are kind of funny. Like you ask someone what is love, and they're like, "Oh yeah, well, love is when I kiss my puppy on the cheek, every morning." And I'm like, "Bro, well, I don't have a puppy, so you know what I'm saying. You got to get more specific than that."
And
Um,
plus, I could argue that's not love, that's affection. But yeah.
yeah, that's not love, that's affection. But you know, um, one thing that I'm kind of thinking about and meditating on as we're talking about this is that I think the reason why a lot of people point to these actions and these affections is because the actions reveal um, the source of love, as you're kind of saying. I feel like more people can't really explain what it is, and so they point to the actions that stem from it. You know what? So think about it this way: if you're a bird living up in a tree, right?
Mhm,
And let's say the branches that you're hanging on are all the affection, right? But from the point that you're at, there's so many leaves. All you're seeing is the uprising. All you're seeing is the fruits, right? Of love. But you can't see the base. You can't see the roots, right?
mhm,
That's kind of the way I'm visualizing right now, with a lot of people. For me, the constants of love across cultures, across society, because I do believe that love is something that does exist. It's something that has been sung about for centuries and centuries, civilizations upon civilizations. Many countries have fallen and risen again, and throughout all of these eons, we all have the same kind of feeling that love exists, and it's all very similar, right? It's
mhm,
this it's this strong binding connection that we have to someone, something, or a place that deeply ties us to it. So think about it like this. I like to think visually a lot nowadays because I feel like it helps me kind of process my thoughts. And I feel like one of the best visual representations of love is the Japanese representation of love. I don't know if you've seen Your Name by Makoto Shinkai, but
that's a classic, yeah.
it's a classic, certified hood classic. For anybody who hasn't seen that movie, watch it right now. There
Yeah, you
won't
need to get
be
on that.
Yeah, there won't be any spoilers from you hearing this, but basically the way that that Makoto Shinkai depicts love in his anime, Your Name, his animated film, is with the two characters. Yeah, there is a red string or ribbon or band that you can literally see that's tying them to one another. And this is not just something that's exclusive to Your Name. It's something that's very popular in Japan. It's a very like
It's a recurring concept in Japanese storytelling around romance. Yeah.
yeah, it's like a common concept, that's how they kind of look at love. It's this kind of binding force that it's you can't really. Sometimes you can definitely explain why. Like, if
Mm.
I were to tell you, "Hey, I really love, the mountains of Ecuador. Whenever I go there, I love it, you know? I just feel so much peace." I can tell you why, you know, I love the mountains, I love the weather, I love that it's, raining constantly, I love the wildlife there, you know? It
Mm.
makes me feel at peace. So, like, when it comes to, like, places and sometimes even things, you know, you can more readily say why. Um, but also, sometimes when the love is strong enough with the people, you can identify why you're so closely tied to them, closely bonded to them, yeah?
Mhm.
When you're younger, I feel like it's a bit more superficial. You might just like the way they look, and you know your hormones are out of whack, so you're just like anything you see, you're just like love at first sight. Um, but yeah, basically, long-winded answer to your question. I think that that's what love is. That image, something that's basically a ribbon that's tightly binding us to someone, something, some place, some concept. That's what love is. That's that kind of dark matter that we can't see, we can't touch, we can't even almost like truly concretely explain, but that's what that is. It's there.
You know, I feel like that makes a lot of sense, and that ties into kind of the way I see love too, which we'll get into another on another occasion. But it's because that's the thing, right? When when trying to define it, it's a very particular feeling, and it doesn't always necessarily feel good. It just it's like it's there. It's a presence in you that's letting you know, like, okay, you feel this way about someone or something or someplace, like whatever the case may be. And it goes beyond just um people, or just like having an object of desire, right? It could be an activity, or like you said, it could be a place where there's something deep within you that is it just clicks, right? And you're at peace, and you feel good when you're in a particular place, or when you're doing your particular activity. Because it's like, even when we talked about sports before, right? I know it's boxing for you in particular, where sometimes, people say you get into certain things as a result of your environment, but I feel like a lot of it is also it's like a natural calling, because I'm pretty sure that boxing wasn't the only sport you got exposed to growing up, right?
Yeah. And just really quick, Teddy, like everything you're saying is actually making me realize something.
Mhm.
You know that I love music, right?
Yes.
And this is something I've told someone recently because I recently there was someone who was hired at my job basically that's into MMA, and nobody at work knew that I was into boxing, right?
Mhm.
And so like it came as a shock to everybody when I was talking to him that I was into boxing. And the way I explained to it, just like really quickly, like a one-off, to one of my coworkers was, "Well, yeah, I've done boxing for a while. Actually, I'm like boxing. I'm better at it than I am at music." And I'm like, not to toot my own horn, I'm pretty good at music. I'm able to like compose a song, but like on my own, I sing it, I mix and master it, like from beginning to end, from scratch to finish. Like I do the whole process, of music, and that's something that not a lot of people do. I do it all from my bedroom, and I feel like it took me a long time to get proficient. It's not something that I was like just like naturally gifted at, right?
Mhm.
Um, or like that something like but with boxing, right?
Yeah.
It's something that I'm naturally good at and that I love, right? But with
Yeah.
music, I feel like I'm not like naturally good at it. I had to train very hard to get good at it. Um, but for some reason, I love it exponentially more than boxing. Yeah, and there's no reason why that I can tell you. Maybe like if you were to play my life like a movie, and you were able to pause and fast forward, rewind, you could probably find a reason why, right? But for me, it's something invisible, and it's basically like that ribbon, and it's like kind of reinforcing that idea that I have, that it's like for some reason I'm tied to music, and I love that art form, and there's nothing that can really change that, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, no, I've noticed that a lot of times, and it's not just you. It's a lot of people where they have something that they're naturally good at, but they have something else that they're passionate about, but they're not nearly as proficient in as what they're naturally good at. But
Yeah.
they end up loving that way more, and it's like I've always wondered why that is, you know. And it's like you said, it's like it might just be something you can really put into words, right? It's just that whole nature nurture debate, you know, that goes on for forever. It's like there's something about this that just appeals to me. I don't know how to describe it to you, but it just, you know, because sometimes I've wondered, is it maybe because you had to work at it to get good? Is that where the love comes from? And I realized like no. It's like you already loved it before, and the love that you have for it is what motivated you to work hard to get better at it, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting concept to think about because I've noticed that. I've noticed that. And that's something that people also need to realize sometimes. It's like as much as because when you hear the word love, right? Usually it's very positive, fuzzy feelings that come to mind. You're thinking, oh, you know, you usually the first idea that comes to mind is love for a person or a pet or something like that. But the kind of love we're talking is more all encompassing, right? It's broader. And so with that, a lot of the time it comes with ups and downs. There are times when it's unbelievably frustrating to partake in something that you love, but it's because you love it that you endure it, right? And I wish it was something that people understood a little bit more because when you take it back to the very basic aspect of it, which is with relationships with other people, a lot of the time, some couples they get into situations where they start arguing, right? And it's ugly, it's messy, it's chaotic, it's destructive, but that's all part of what love is. And I feel like sometimes people forget that. They think they only focus on the positive, good feelings of it, and they don't realize like it's a very complete experience. Like every other emotions that you can feel, like bliss, anger, sadness, joy, all that stuff is part of the experience of love, right? But I
Yeah.
think because people don't always remember this, they they think because you've heard that term falling in love and falling out of love,
Yeah.
right? If I've had this theory for a long time, and let me know what you think about this, but it's like people I feel like people they don't fall out of love as much as they realize what it really takes to be in love, everything that comes with it. And they kind of renege on their contract, so to speak, where they're like, no, this is not what I signed up for. I signed up for the fuzzy feelings, not for this. This is not okay. Uh, change it. And if you can't change it, we have to jump ship. Right. And I think it's something that plagues our current generation more so than previous generations. But then again, I can only speak for this current generation because that's the one that I'm living through. So I wouldn't know about the other ones. Maybe you can
Yeah.
get somebody else in that. So I wanted to know like what do you think of that theory that you know people don't necessarily fall out of love, it's more so that they discover what it takes to be in love with something, not even just like a person, but like you know, I mean, you know, the frustrations that come with learning music, practicing boxing, all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, when it comes to love and when you find that you're binded to something or someone, right? When you're starting to basically come to know love, to know that you're in love with something or someone, um, then it raises the question, are you going to commit yourself to seeing what's on the other end of
Exactly.
that string?
Mm.
You need to see what's on the other end of that string, and for better or worse, because like I said, love is that red string that's binding you to something else. It has no promises that things are going to end well. It has no promises that things are going to be fuzzy and
That's a
magical
fact.
and unicorns. The only promise from that string is that for whatever reason, you have an interest, or you're binded to that, at least for the time being. Of course, all strings can be severed, all bonds can be severed. Um, but that's the only promise there is there, you know? So I feel like a lot of people, of course, because of media and songs and how successful love is depicted, we just kind of associate that with any love, and we're just like, well, that's how love has to be, and if it doesn't work out that way, well, I guess it was never love to begin with. Um,
It's like, no, you just weren't built for what it took to be in love with someone.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
blame the feeling, blame yourself, right? So then I have to wonder, right? I have to ask you this because
yeah,
I feel like you're probably gonna feel very strongly about this, but um do you so sometimes depending on who you're in love with, it can be a crippling affliction, meaning it is detrimental to your life, but you can't help yourself, right?
yeah,
When you really love something. And that's how you enter the world of addiction where people they rely on something so much because they love it. It gives them that it's like a special drug, right? And it doesn't have to be an actual drug, but it can be a person too. Um, the reason I ask this, the reason I bring this up, I mean, is because, as you know, one of the reasons I love the medium of anime so much is because you get depictions of real human emotions in very powerful ways, right? It's like that's why whenever I get a chance, I try to recommend anime to people. It's not because, oh, I want other people to be uh fans of the medium. Is more so I feel like it depicts certain emotions so well in ways that other mediums just can't capture, right?
yeah.
And so I know you love this character so much, and it pains me to have to bring this up to you. But do you remember Sakura's obsession with Sasuke?
Oh my god, yeah,
Yeah, I know it speaks to you on a very deep, to your very core, right? Like
yeah.
it's like no, it's just uh twists you inside, right? But um I've always wondered, right? Because you have, I don't know if you knew this, but there are a lot of Sakura defenders out there that said it's not her fault. She was madly in love. She couldn't help herself, right? So
Oh
then
god,
I want to ask you, right?
yeah.
Not saying that her actions need to be excused, but do you think they're at least understandable based on her situation?
I don't think they are.
Oh God.
I don't think they are, not even
No
one bit.
mercy, huh?
Like, this is the thing, like, she could be in love. First of all, she was a little girl, so it's like this weird infatuation. The strength of that string tying her to Sasuke was that she liked the way he looked. He was edgy as hell, and he rode a skateboard or whatever. And like, that's it. Like, oh my god, like, dude,
He
come
loved her some
on.
emo boy.
The
Yeah.
answer that the answer to this is very, very simple. What would you do if you were her father? We all know we would smack her upside the head if our daughters were going
Bring her
that
back to
crazy.
her senses.
Exactly. The freaking no corn slop for a week, and put her in the what do they call it? The dungeon, the basement dungeon. Lock her up with no TV, no nothing, no light for a month.
Mm.
Then when she gets out, then she'll learn. And then once she gets out, if she gets out and she's not crying or anything, give her a coupon. Give her a coupon so that the
Another
next
coupon.
so so that the next time that she messes up and you punish her, um, you will deduct maybe like a day's worth of grounding. So she'll be
Oh,
grounded
you
for a
know
day
what?
less.
I'm about to be so toxic. You know, when you go to certain places, they give you them loyalty cards where you get like multiple punches. So give her that for every transgression. When she gets to 10, she gets the belt.
Yeah. That's what listen, I'm
That's
telling you.
toxic.
this is my plan with my kids, man. Especially if it's a Sakura, if it's my freaking daughter comes out talking like Sakura, looking like Sakura. I'm like, bro, the basement is getting turned to a white room. It's all white. And whenever she does something wrong, throw her in there, and no TV. Revoke any privileges that she has. Um, every day she'll come back home from school and her dinner will be corn slop, just cornmeal with like a unidentified gravy on top.
Oh my
And
goodness.
she will be grateful for it.
Oh
She will be
Lord, have
very grateful.
mercy on my soul.
And no seasoning on it.
No seasoning. Okay, that's just aggressive.
And she'll love it. There's no other choice. But if
I,
she complains, it's 15 lashes and
oh,
straight to
I
the
need some salt and pepper, please.
15 lashes straight from the chancla, straight from the sandal,
Oh
and
man.
straight into the dungeon, the white
She
room.
she gained the holy chanclas too. Man, you're sparing no.
And like I said, if she gets out of that white room in a week, no complaints, no nothing, a coupon. Here's a coupon. Next time this happens,
Hey, you did
you'll get a
well.
day less. You get a day less of punishment. You
It's
know?
like after 10, you get some ice cream.
Yeah. But
That's funny, because like I see people online have these debates where they say you don't know what it feels like to be cripplingly in love with someone and you can't help it. Because that's kind of what we were saying earlier, right? It's like the reason why you love music as much as you do is you can't really explain it. It's just something in you that just gravitates towards that.
yeah,
And imagine that, but with a person. It's like, and then especially in her case where it doesn't benefit you in any way whatsoever, but you just can't help yourself, right? It's like, do you have that awareness to be like, okay, this doesn't serve me. So as much as I love it, I need to let it go. Or do you, you know, give in? And I think that's where I don't know. I wouldn't be able to say because I don't think I've ever been in love like that. So I wouldn't know.
yeah.
But because I've been down bad before for someone. I've been down horrendous, let me tell you.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But I don't know that it was Sakura level. Okay. Her,
Yeah.
her, her tier was crazy.
Watch
Like
your watch your words, bro, or else you're going straight to the dungeon.
I listen, man, I don't want the dungeon. Please spare me. I don't need that. But no, like that's one thing I'm finding I'm becoming very uh unrelatable in certain ways. And that's a conversation we'll get to at another time. It's not just with love, it's a bunch of other things too, where I feel like I live in a different world from other people where there are a lot of um there's a lot of issues that afflict certain people that
Yeah.
don't that I can't understand or don't relate to me. And it messes with me a little bit because then I'm wondering, am I just like an unfeeling machine? But then I'm not. I know I'm not. So it's like trying to make sense of why other people feel the way that they do. It's a whole thing. But
Yeah.
it's one of those times. The shower thoughts when you're in the
Yeah.
shower, just thinking about certain things. Like yeah, it's like that. But it's been happening a lot more recently, just because I've had a lot of interactions with people recently, and it's come up multiple times. So it's been on my mind. But
Yeah.
um,
But you know what, Teddy?
what's up?
I'm glad that you brought up Sakura because the thing is this, man. And I was thinking about this too, that this thought just kind of came up in my mind as we were talking just now, as I was listening to basically you know how we talked about earlier when we were opening up the podcast, we were talking about the way people describe love. People say, "Oh, love is the way that I kiss my puppy on the lips, like on the nose or whatever." Like bro, like not everybody has a puppy, so not everybody can relate, right? And then we got into kind of the idea that the people describe love that way because the actions can often reveal um, what love is, right? The
Yeah.
source. The actions sometimes reveal the source. And I feel like while the actions reveal the source of the love, I feel like in many ways love can reveal the self. Love can reveal who you are. Love can define who you are. I guess to put it simpler, there was a writer, Saint Thomas Aquinas, that wrote, "The things that we love tell us what we are." So, for example, like let's say you know somebody that's into self activism, social activism, social justice, or something. You can tell that they're a type of person that has a strong sense of justice. And I know how it is nowadays, whether you agree or not with their political views or personal views on the world. There's no denying that activists and social justice warriors, for lack of a better word, they have a strong sense of justice. What they are doing, they feel like that is what's right, and so their love for doing these things reveals something, an aspect of their character. And I feel like in many ways, when we love somebody and when we choose to, I guess, fall into that or dive into that or explore that more, it can reveal certain aspects of our characters. That's why I don't know if you experienced this study, but even with friends, right? The closer you grow to a friend, sometimes it reveals aspects of who you are, or it gets you thinking more, or you know how there's this concept of like we talk a little bit differently with each person,
Absolutely.
you know? So that's that knot growing tighter, and the bond getting stronger. And that's a little bit of ourself either being, defined by love or shaped by love, however you want to say it. But that's ultimately my big concept on love that I do hold fast to, that love does have the power to define who we are. I mean, we see it in anime with Ichigo, the way that he loves his friends throughout the years, that has definitely defined him and shaped him. Luffy from One Piece, when he was down and out after the death of Ace, we saw that the love for his friends was truly who he was at the core, and that's what made him who he is. A person that keeps pushing forward, a person that keeps following his dream. Because if it wasn't for those friends in that moment, he was ready to just like self-destruct.
Hey, but
You
shout
know?
out to Jinbei for reminding him of that though.
Yeah,
Because my
and
man's going through it.
and he's included in one of those friends that he loves, that truly he met along the journey, and truly defined who he was. And that Jinbei, he didn't even know for that long. So that just shows like that these bonds, they
Oh
define
yeah.
who we are.
They really do, and they run deep. I mean, if you're talking about somebody who's bonds with their friends or loved one defines them, you look no further than Mikasa Ackerman, bro.
Oh
I've
yeah.
never seen somebody ride stronger for somebody they love as much as Mikasa. She will, like, when we talk about, oh, I would die for you, that's her. Like
Yeah.
that energy, I have not seen that in many other characters as I've seen with her. Like my goodness, it's like she turns into a demon. Remember, that's what they said about Roger in One Piece. That when
Yeah.
you mess with it, he turned into a demon. I feel like we see that with Mikasa. Like she turns feral, bro. Like you. Like don't mess with Eren, okay? Like she will finish you off. Like
Yeah.
that's not, she doesn't play around. But
Because she was a mostly chill, kid, normal kid, but then
yeah,
because of her love for Aaron, that turned her into a beast. I mean, it literally defined who she was. Like she based her whole life around that. So
yeah.
it's like it is true. It is a real thing.
Her identity revolved around that person. So let me ask you this, man. Do you think that there can be anyone worthy of you loving them that way? Where if anything happens to them, you're ready to destroy the entire world for their sake.
Assuming I have the power, uh,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, man. There's like that's that's also another thing, like with love, that's been depicted for a while. You know, people are willing to do crazy things for love. I mean, I think the strongest form of love for most people is their children, right?
Yes.
And one of the most common examples of this, you hear mothers say it all the time. Listen, anybody touches my child, I don't care if they're strong, I don't care what it is. It's over for them. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
I had a story that Godsend, shout out to this man, praying for his return on the podcast. But uh he shared a story with me a while back, and I wanted to kind of run it by you right quick because it is a display of motherly love, but it's extremely twisted, right? Brace
Yeah.
yourself because this story is a little bit intense.
All
So
right.
apparently, this woman, she had, I believe, two daughters and one son, right? And one of the daughters was, I guess maybe both of them were abusing her son in very weird ways where I guess they were going through their puberty, so they're having periods and stuff, right? So what they would do is they would use the tampons or whatever, and then when they were done, they would like drain it out in the little brother's mouth.
Oh no.
Yeah, and there was just one of the ways that they used to abuse him, and they would keep doing it. And when she found out that that's what they've been doing, she killed him.
Wow.
And when she got brought into court and she was tried for her crimes, she like this wasn't a crazy mother. This was a mother who realized that her son was getting hurt and abused, and she took what action she thought necessary, which it led to a lot of controversy, right? Because it's her own children, but then she did that for the sake of one of her own also. So it's like, how do you compartmentalize this, and how do you decide whether she was in the wrong or the right, or is it a combination of both, right? Because I remember when I saw this, I was so conflicted because had part of the story first where it just said, oh, they were doing this to her child. So I was like, if anybody did something like that to my child, I would listen. I would beat them within an inch of their life, heal them, bring them back to health, and beat them up again. Like, you're not, no, death is too sweet for you. You need to understand you messed up, right? But and then you learn about the plot twist that, oh, it was actually her own daughters doing that to her son. So then I want to know, do you think she was justified in doing that?
Bruh. That is insane,
I
man.
told you it's intense.
That is insane. So, where did this happen?
I don't know. Like I saw the story. It was on TikToks. I saw like the video with she was getting tried for her crimes, and she said like it didn't have the details, or maybe it was in the comments, but I didn't hang around long enough to see. But it was a try. It didn't happen. It's not this year, I think, but I think it happened recently. I don't know exactly the details, but I saw that. Maybe when I find it again, I'll send it to you. But um yeah, it's a very dark and twisted story, man.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is. Like a lot of people say, like the kids, they don't really know what they're doing. Like, because there's so many cases of like evil children. Like they either commit
But how
homicide,
much
murder,
true though?
huh?
How much of that argument is true though?
I don't know, man. I honestly have no idea. Like the thing is, like once a kid does a certain crime, it should be like like there has to be some form of punishment.
Right?
Can't just go killing people willy nilly or
It,
like doing other things.
I mean, because this that justification to me has always sounded like an excuse to forgive horrible behavior from children because we think they're children, so they get a pass. Because let me tell you, when I was a teenager, I was very aware of my actions. extremely aware. Like by the time I was 10, 11, I had a clear understanding of right versus wrong. I would know that if you're doing that to your little brother, no, 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 that is not like that's deviant behavior.
Yeah.
You know it is. Especially if you're a teenager, you go through, you know it is. So like that's why I always struggle when they say, "Oh yeah, but you know they're just children, okay? Like they don't know it." It's like, don't give me that.
They don't know any better. I mean, like, you're the mom. You're the parent. You should like, they don't know any better, but you do. That's the whole point. Like, supposed to
Yeah,
teach them right from wrong. So it's like, it is what it is, man. That's a whole another can of worms in and of itself, to
yeah, that's a massive can of worms, man. It's like but it's like, but that's the thing. The things you would do for love, right? I feel like I wanna know your take on this, and then we can kind of wrap it up after this. But
Yeah.
um for the sake of love, how far are you willing to go?
I feel like that can only be answered, like, in the moment, because it's one of those things that you can say whatever you want to say, but you won't know until you're in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, a lot of people, they say they see CCTV footage, right, of like a robbery. Someone pulls up on you with a knife, and you're looking at the person, and the person's acting scared, like, "Oh no, just take my money, just take it, take my phone. Here's my jacket if you want it too." And then the person runs off, right?
Yeah.
And then a lot of people's reaction is like, "Oh, man, man, if I was there, it will be over. I would have done this and I would have said that, and then I would have said, bloom, hit him with the right hook, baby. It would have been over. He would
Mhm.
he would have wished he would never born." And then you see this person that they walk out, and someone, they don't even pull out a knife. They just say, "Yo, rub me those pockets right quick." And then they're like, "Oh, oh, oh, please, please, I have two children. Please, they're waiting for me at home. Just spare me. Here, take my credit cards too. I'll give you the pin." I'm like, bro, like, you were just 2 seconds ago, you were talking about, "Oh yeah, I would have done this, I would have done that," and now in the heat of the moment, you're not doing anything. So it's like and like, I could say all the things that I would think I would do, but it would just be lip service. You never truly know until you're in the moment. You know, that's
That is
something that I
true.
learned from fighting. That, like, you could be going into a fight or a sparring session, and you're thinking, "Yeah, I'm gonna do this to that person, that to that person." Then 2 seconds later, the the round starts, timer starts, and you don't do a damn thing. You know, you freeze up.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Like you can talk all that good talk, but then when the time comes, it's like, oh well, actually, you know what? That was all lip service. My fault. I lied. Don't take anything I said into consideration because it's not true.
Turn into Usopp.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. That
Yeah,
that
man.
that that makes sense. That makes sense. I feel like, that's the more reasonable approach to have
Yeah,
with that scenario because like I've I'll tell you this and then we can go out on this. Um so sometimes like I find myself in situations, let's say I'm with a significant other or something, right?
yeah,
And I see that there is kind of like a dicey situation ahead, right? I've been in situations where I feel like we both have functioning out like sets of eyeballs. You see what I see. Unless you're that much slower than me, you understand that what's ahead of us is not a good look. So we need to turn back, regroup, and think of a way to, get around this.
yeah,
So in my mind, I'm going through all that and I'm already like on my way out. But then I've had situations where I'm with someone and I'm like, okay, let's go. And they're just there, right? And I'm like, but what, you see me move, why you just standing there? It's like, but are you not gonna drag me with you? I'm like, but you see what I see, right? I don't need you, you have functioning legs too. Like you see me move, like move with me. Like I don't need to drag you. Like you should understand this, right? So it's weird like that sometimes where I feel like other people they probably just naturally grab their significant other and be like, hey, okay, let's go. But for me, I'm like, I guess I give people more credit than that. So I'm like, hey, let's get going. Right. But then there'll be other situations where I could really just put myself in the line of fire, right? So like you said, it just really depends on the situation at hand. But yeah, I think we kind of brushed on most of everything that I wanted to cover with you today. Just kind of get a understanding of where your head's at when it comes to this very nuanced concept of love. I'm glad we got to talk about this today. And I don't know if you have any last words for the people before we get out of here.
Hey, man, love defines who we are. Uh, we'd be happy to hear if you have any take on this topic or on this kind of sentiment on love, and let us know what you thought overall. If you like the conversation, leave a like, and hopefully subscribe if you feel inclined to. It's great to be back, and we're gonna be back stronger than ever. This is the Pursuit of Anime, where we talk a mix of anime and philosophy, and just have fun with it. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, exactly. Definitely look forward to next week when the roles will be reversed and you get to hear all about my takes on love. All right.
Nice.
And with that, we're gonna get the hell up out of here.
Peace.
Peace.